Your phone vibrates, and dread washes over you. You have 60 minutes until a high-stakes presentation. Your mind spins, heart pounds, and anxiety threatens to erase everything you've worked toward. This moment defines careers. It separates the composed leaders who rise confidently through the ranks from the panicked masses who stumble when it matters most. But what if, instead of dread, you felt calm certainty? What if the surge of adrenaline became your greatest asset rather than your worst enemy? That's exactly why you hold this book in your hands. Fearless in 60 Minutes, Emergency Confidence for Last-Minute Speeches isn't a motivational pep talk. It's a precise, practical, science-backed framework designed specifically for ambitious professionals facing crunch-time presentations. It's not theoretical, it's tactical. It's about taking control of your biology, your psychology, and your physiology in real time. In the next 60 minutes, you'll learn how elite speakers channel nervous energy into magnetic confidence. You'll discover the exact tools that instantly dial your nervous system into the optimal performance zone. No fluff, no vague tips, just concrete steps that rapidly shift you from anxious to unstoppable. Right now, you have two choices: rely on hope and chance, or master a proven system that ensures your message lands powerfully, clearly, and confidently. Your career, your reputation, and your peace of mind are all on the line. The clock is ticking. Your transformation into a confident, magnetic speaker begins now. Turn the page and become fearless. Chapter 1: Optimal Surge. Your phone buzzes. Emergency board meeting in 60 minutes. Your promotion hangs on this presentation, but your body betrays you. Heart hammering like a jackhammer, thoughts scattering like startled birds. You're either dead flat or completely wired. Both kill performance. Both steal your future. Here's what separates elite speakers from the stammering masses. They've cracked the code of optimal arousal. They don't fight their nervous system. They calibrate it like a precision instrument. The Yerkes-Dodson Law reveals a brutal truth about human performance. Picture an inverted U-curve. Too little activation and you're a zombie. Monotone, forgettable, career-limiting. Too much and you're a wreck. Stumbling, sweating, sabotaging everything you've worked toward. But hit that razor-thin sweet spot in the middle, you become unstoppable. Broadhurst proved this with maze-running rats in 1959. Moderate electrical stimulation produced peak performance. Too gentle, and the rats meandered aimlessly. Too harsh, and they panicked, making fatal errors. The principle transfers directly to your boardroom, your stage, your moment of truth. Teigen's meta-analysis of 113 human performance studies confirmed the pattern. Heart rates between 100 to 115 beats per minute produced maximum accuracy. Below 90 or above 130, performance crashed by 30%. That's the difference between promotion and stagnation. Your mission: master the surge gauge. Start with your personal performance band. Under-arousal feels like mental fog, sluggish reflexes, flat delivery. You're physically present but cognitively absent. Over-arousal scrambles everything. Racing thoughts, trembling hands, voice cracks that broadcast weakness to every decision-maker in the room. Establish your activation scale from 1 to 10. 1 is comatose, 10 is cardiac arrest. Your strike zone lives between 6 and 7, alert but controlled, energized but precise. The surge gauge framework becomes your 60-minute lifeline. First, the body tempo scan. 30 seconds to check your pulse, breathing rhythm, and muscle tension. Your body telegraphs your arousal state before your mind catches up. Next, the clarity flash test. Recite your opening line out loud. Stumble over familiar words? You're over-aroused. Deliver it like you're reading a grocery list? You're under-aroused. Nail it with conviction and clarity? You've found your zone. Too flat? Deploy upshift protocols immediately. 20 seconds of dynamic shadowboxing floods your system with activation energy. Follow with 10 seconds of vivid victory visualization. See yourself commanding the room, feel the applause, taste the triumph. Your nervous system can't distinguish between imagined and real success. Too wired? Downshift protocols save you from self-destruction. 4-count box breathing. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4. Repeat until your heart rate drops into the performance band. Add the progressive knuckle release drill. Make tight fists, hold for 5 seconds, release completely. Feel the tension melt away. Your lock-in ritual seals the deal. Choose a cue word: surge, flow, dominate, whatever resonates with controlled power. Pair it with a neutral stance. Feet shoulder-width apart, hands relaxed at your sides, chin parallel to the floor. This becomes your activation anchor, instantly accessible when stakes are highest. Beware the pitfalls that derail amateurs. Overcorrecting into lethargy kills momentum. You want controlled energy, not sedation. Ignoring micro-fatigue signals leads to arousal drift. You start in the zone, but slide into dysfunction as stress accumulates. The 60-minute simulation walkthrough becomes your dress rehearsal for greatness. Minute 1. Initial arousal assessment. Minutes 5, 15, 30, 45. Surge gauge check-ins. Minute 55. Final calibration before you step into the spotlight. This isn't theory, it's survival. Every executive, every entrepreneur, every leader who commands attention has learned to surf the arousal curve. They don't leave performance to chance or hope adrenaline works in their favor. You have 59 minutes left. Your competition is probably panicking or numbing out with distractions. You're about to gain an unfair advantage by mastering what they never will: the optimal surge that transforms ordinary speakers into magnetic forces of influence. But surge control is just the foundation. Even with perfect arousal, your mind can sabotage everything through a devastating psychological trap that makes you believe every eye in the room is hunting for your mistakes. The paranoia is real, the threat is imaginary, and the solution lies in understanding why your brain lies to you about the spotlight that doesn't exist. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to Grow to the Top and activate notifications to receive more self-improvement tips that will supercharge your growth. And make sure to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. It really helps the channel grow. Thank you for your support. Chapter 2, Spotlight Myth. You've mastered your surge. Heart rate locked at 110 beats per minute. Breathing controlled. Energy calibrated. You step toward the podium and suddenly it hits. That crushing weight of 100 pairs of eyes dissecting every micro-expression, cataloging every imperfection, waiting for you to stumble. Your brain screams a lie so convincing that even seasoned speakers fall for it. Everyone is watching you with the intensity of a hawk stalking prey. This is the spotlight myth, and it's about to destroy everything you've built in the last 58 minutes. Here's the brutal reality your ego doesn't want you to know. You're not that important. The audience isn't laser-focused on your flaws because they're drowning in their own mental chaos. While you're convinced they're scrutinizing your every gesture, they're thinking about their next meeting, their relationship drama, whether they remembered to lock their car. The spotlight effect bias warps your perception like a funhouse mirror. You assume the crowd's attention is a blazing high beam when it's actually a flickering penlight, scattered across 1,000 different concerns. Gilovich, Medvec, and Savitsky proved this with an embarrassing experiment. They forced college students to wear mortifying Barry Manilow t-shirts into a room full of peers. The shirt wearers predicted 50% of the room would notice their fashion disaster. The actual number? 23%. Even when deliberately trying to be conspicuous, most people remained invisible. Your ego lens magnifies everything. You live inside your own head 24 hours a day, so you naturally assume others are equally obsessed with your performance. This self-referencing creates a distortion field where every stumble feels like a spotlight moment, and every pause seems like an eternity of judgment. But here's the math that shatters the illusion. Human attention bandwidth is pathetically limited. That audience of 50 people? Each person's mind is processing roughly 11 million bits of information per second, but their conscious awareness can only handle about 40 bits. Your nervous hand gesture doesn't even register on their radar. Think of it this way. When you're sitting in an audience, how much mental energy do you actually spend analyzing the speaker's performance versus thinking about your own concerns? The answer reveals the truth. Audiences are terrible at sustained attention to anything that doesn't directly impact their immediate self-interest. The mental zoom-out drill becomes your reality check. Visualize the room as a grid from above. You occupy one small square among dozens. Each square represents a person lost in their own mental universe, checking phones, planning responses, fighting fatigue, wondering when this will end. Your square isn't special. It's not glowing. It's not under a microscope. When paranoia spikes mid-presentation, tactical camouflage saves you from mental collapse. Purposeful gesturing redirects attention away from your internal state toward your message. Point to specific slides. Use deliberate hand movements to emphasize key points. Move with intention rather than nervous energy. The audience follows your lead. If you direct their gaze toward your content, they stop scanning for weakness. Strategic slide highlights work like magician's misdirection. Bold graphics, compelling statistics, provocative questions. These elements capture attention more effectively than your personal performance ever could. Your slides become shields, deflecting scrutiny from your perceived flaws toward your actual value. The anti-paranoia mantra loop rewires your internal dialogue. Nobody replays my stumbles becomes your cognitive reset button. While you're obsessing over that mispronounced word or awkward pause, the audience has already moved on to their next distraction. They don't have the mental bandwidth to catalog your mistakes. They're too busy managing their own cognitive load. Your performance metrics need a reality audit. After every presentation, count the actual comments about your delivery versus the imagined criticisms your brain manufactured. You'll discover a shocking pattern. Real feedback focuses on content and value, not the performance anxieties that consumed your mental energy. Most speakers never escape this psychological prison. They remain trapped in the spotlight myth, believing every audience is a panel of judges scoring their every move. This delusion creates a feedback loop of self-consciousness that guarantees mediocre performance. But you're different. You understand that attention is scarce, focus is fragmented, and audiences are far more concerned with their own experience than your performance anxiety. The spotlight isn't real, the scrutiny is imaginary, the judgment exists primarily in your head. You have 2 minutes left before you take the stage. Your surge is optimized. The spotlight myth is shattered. You're about to discover something even more liberating. The gap between what you feel inside and what others actually see is so vast that you could be trembling with terror while projecting complete confidence. The secret lies in understanding why your internal storm remains completely invisible to the outside world. Chapter 3. Calm Inside. Your surge is dialed in. The spotlight myth lies shattered at your feet. But as you approach the microphone, a new terror grips you. The absolute certainty that your internal earthquake is broadcasting to every person in the room. Your hands feel like they're vibrating at earthquake frequency. Your voice sounds shaky in your own ears. Your heart pounds so loudly you're convinced the front row can hear it. Surely everyone can see through your facade to the trembling mess underneath. This is your final psychological trap, and it's the most insidious of all. You're about to discover why the gap between what you feel and what others see is so vast it defies logic. The secret lies in understanding a phenomenon that fools even the most experienced speakers, the illusion of transparency. Here's what's really happening inside your nervous system. You're experiencing every sensation at maximum intensity because you're the one living inside your body. Every microtremor gets amplified by your hypersensitive internal monitoring system. Every slight voice quaver sounds like a major malfunction to your ears. Every heartbeat feels like thunder because you're listening from the inside. But here's the revelation that changes everything. Other people don't have access to your internal experience. They're observing you from the outside, through their own distracted, limited perceptual filters. Savitsky and Gilovich proved this with surgical precision. They had speakers rate their own nervousness on a scale of 1 to 10. The average self-rating, 8 out of 10. Nearly maximum anxiety. Then they had independent observers rate the same speaker's visible nervousness. The average observer rating, 4 out of 10, a 50% gap between internal experience and external perception. Think about the implications. While you're convinced your anxiety is neon bright and impossible to miss, the audience is seeing roughly half of what you're feeling. And remember, they're not even paying that much attention to begin with. The neurological blind spots of bystanders work in your favor. Human perception is notoriously poor at detecting subtle emotional states in others. We're wired to notice dramatic, obvious signals, not the micro-expressions and minor physical variations that feel so pronounced from the inside. Your internal storm rages with hurricane force, but the external manifestation is more like a light breeze that most people won't even notice. The relabel signal drill becomes your cognitive circuit breaker. When you feel that familiar surge of "everyone can see I'm nervous," immediately counter with the truth. Internal equals private. Your inner experience belongs to you alone. The audience has no access to your emotional state unless you deliberately broadcast it through major, obvious behaviors. This isn't positive thinking, it's neurological fact. The human brain processes internal sensations with completely different circuitry than external observations. You're feeling everything from the inside with maximum sensitivity. They're seeing everything from the outside with minimal attention and poor resolution. Surface control tactics give you something concrete to focus on when the illusion of transparency tries to hijack your confidence. Anchor your hands to the lectern edge. This eliminates the worry about visible trembling while giving you a stable foundation. The slight pressure against the wood grounds you physically and mentally. The pace, pause, plant walking sequence transforms nervous energy into purposeful movement. Take 3 deliberate steps, pause for 2 seconds, plant your feet shoulder-width apart. This creates the appearance of confident control while giving your nervous system a structured outlet for excess activation. But the most powerful tool is the confidence feedback loop through video evidence. Record yourself during practice sessions when you feel maximum nervousness. Then watch the playback with fresh eyes. You'll be shocked to discover that your internal earthquake barely registers as a minor tremor on camera. This visual proof shatters the illusion permanently. When you see objective evidence that your worst internal moments look completely normal from the outside, the transparency myth loses its power over you. Most speakers never escape this final trap. They remain convinced that their inner turmoil is obvious to everyone, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy of visible anxiety. They try to hide their nerves, which only makes them more obvious. They apologize for shakiness that nobody noticed. They draw attention to flaws that were invisible until they pointed them out. You're about to break free from this prison of self-consciousness. Your internal experience is yours alone. The audience sees a fraction of what you feel, and they're not even looking that closely. The calm inside doesn't mean eliminating nervousness. It means understanding that nervousness can coexist with confident external presentation. You can feel the storm while projecting the calm. 1 minute remains. Your surge is optimized. The spotlight myth is destroyed. The transparency illusion is shattered. You're about to step into the most powerful psychological state possible for peak performance. But first, you need to understand how to transform that remaining nervous energy from your enemy into your secret weapon. The key lies in a simple mental flip that elite performers have used for decades to turn anxiety into their competitive advantage. Chapter 4. Flip Fear. 30 seconds to showtime. Your surge is calibrated, the spotlight myth demolished, the transparency illusion shattered. But that familiar cocktail of adrenaline and cortisol still courses through your veins like liquid lightning. Your amygdala screams, "Danger!" while your prefrontal cortex tries to maintain control. Most speakers fight this biochemical storm. They try to suppress it, medicate it away, or pretend it doesn't exist. This is the fatal mistake that separates amateurs from legends. Elite performers know a secret that transforms everything. Fear and excitement are biochemically identical twins wearing different masks. The same racing heart that signals terror also signals readiness. The same heightened alertness that screams "flee" can scream dominate. The same surge of energy that makes you want to hide can make you want to conquer. The only difference is the story your brain tells about what's happening. This is where the flip happens, the moment you stop being fear's victim and become its master. Your nervous system produces the exact same physiological response whether you're about to give the presentation of your life or run from a predator. Elevated heart rate, increased breathing, heightened focus, muscle tension, enhanced reflexes, these aren't symptoms of weakness. They're the biological signature of peak performance preparation. The cognitive reappraisal loop becomes your neural rewiring tool. Instead of letting your amygdala hijack the narrative with, "I'm terrified and everyone will see me fail," you consciously redirect that same energy through your prefrontal cortex with a different interpretation. "I'm energized and ready to deliver something powerful." Jamieson, Mendez, and Knock proved this isn't wishful thinking, it's measurable neuroscience. They took students preparing for the GRE and split them into two groups. The control group received standard test-taking advice. The experimental group learned to reinterpret their stress response as beneficial preparation. The reappraisal group gained an average of 50 points over the controls. Their cortisol levels dropped while their cardiac output increased, the perfect combination for sustained peak performance. The language swap becomes your instant transformation trigger. The moment you catch yourself thinking, "I'm scared," immediately replace it with, "I'm excited." This isn't semantic games, it's neurological redirection. Both emotions live in the high arousal zone, so the transition requires minimal mental energy. You're not trying to jump from terror to calm, which would be neurologically impossible. You're making a lateral move from one high-energy state to another. The adrenaline alignment framework gives you a systematic approach to this flip. First, notice the physical sensations without judgment. Your heart is racing. Acknowledge it. Your breathing is shallow. Recognize it. Your muscles are tense. Accept it. This is your body preparing for something significant. Next, name what's really happening. "I'm experiencing activation energy. My system is preparing for peak performance. This is readiness, not weakness." The act of conscious labeling shifts control from your primitive brain to your executive brain. Finally, navigate the energy toward your performance. Channel that heightened alertness into laser focus on your opening line. Transform that muscle tension into purposeful gestures. Convert that racing heart into vocal power and projection. Tactical energy channelers become your delivery weapons. When you feel that surge of nervous energy, punch your consonants harder on key verbs. Let that internal intensity drive external emphasis. "We will crush this quarter" hits differently when backed by authentic activation energy than when delivered in monotone calm. Controlled vocal crescendos turn your amped-up state into magnetic presence. Start your key points at normal volume, then let your natural energy build the intensity as you drive toward your conclusion. The audience feels your authentic engagement, not nervous energy, but passionate conviction. This is the paradox that amateur speakers never grasp. The very sensations that make you want to flee are the same ones that create commanding presence when properly channeled. The difference between panic and power isn't the elimination of arousal, it's the conscious direction of that arousal toward your purpose. Your nervous system doesn't distinguish between fear and excitement at the biochemical level. The distinction happens in your interpretation center. You get to choose which story to tell about the energy coursing through your body. Most speakers waste this gift. They fight their activation, try to calm down, attempt to eliminate the very energy that could fuel their greatest performance. They see the surge as evidence of inadequacy rather than proof of readiness. You're about to do the opposite. You're going to embrace that energy, flip its meaning, and ride it to a level of presence most speakers never access. 20 seconds remain. Your fear has become fuel. Your anxiety has transformed into anticipation. Your nervous energy is now performance power. But there's one more element that will amplify everything you've built, a rapid-fire preparation technique that will eliminate any remaining doubt about your readiness to dominate this moment. Chapter 5, Microdrills. 15 minutes to stage time. Your fear has flipped to fuel, but there's still a nagging voice whispering, "What if you freeze? What if your mind goes blank? What if you stumble over the opening line that seemed so smooth in your head?" This is where most speakers make their final fatal mistake. They assume they're as ready as they'll ever be and hope for the best. They walk into their moment of truth with untested confidence, crossing their fingers that everything will work under pressure. You're about to discover why hope is not a strategy and why the most powerful speakers never leave performance to chance. The secret lies in a counterintuitive principle that sounds almost too simple to work. The more you expose yourself to the thing you fear in rapid, controlled bursts, the faster your brain stops coding it as a threat. This isn't about lengthy practice sessions or perfect run-throughs. This is about microdosing your nervous system with precisely calibrated exposure that rewires your threat detection in minutes, not months. Your brain operates on a simple survival algorithm. Familiar equals safe, unfamiliar equals dangerous. Right now, speaking to this specific audience in this specific room, under these specific stakes, feels unfamiliar, which triggers every alarm bell in your primitive brain. But familiarity can be manufactured through strategic repetition, even when time is your enemy. Lang proved this principle in 1968 with phobic patients. Hierarchical exposure, starting small and building intensity, demolished fears faster than any relaxation technique. The key wasn't eliminating anxiety, but systematically desensitizing the threat response through controlled, escalating contact with the feared stimulus. Ost took this further in 1989, demonstrating that intensive, single-session exposure could cure 80% of specific phobias with lasting results. The magic wasn't in the duration, but in the intensity and progression of the exposure sequence. You're going to apply this same principle to speaking anxiety in the next 10 minutes. The exposure ladder becomes your rapid desensitization tool. Start with a whisper run of your opening 30 seconds. Literally whisper your first few lines while standing in presentation position. This feels safe to your nervous system. You're practicing the behavior without the full threat intensity. Next level, phone voice volume. Deliver the same opening sequence at conversational level as if you're talking to a colleague across the room. Your brain starts recognizing the words, the rhythm, the physical positioning as routine rather than threatening. Final level, full blast projection. Deliver those opening lines with the volume and energy you'll use on stage. By now, your nervous system has been through this sequence twice at lower intensities. The full power version feels like a natural progression rather than a terrifying leap. The 10-minute drill circuit amplifies this effect through rapid repetition. Record yourself delivering your opening on your phone, then immediately watch it back. This creates a feedback loop that shows you the gap between how you feel internally and how you appear externally. Most speakers are shocked to discover they look far more composed than they feel. Repeat this record watch cycle 3 times in rapid succession. Each iteration builds familiarity while providing visual proof that your performance anxiety isn't as visible as your brain insists. You're literally watching yourself succeed, which creates positive expectation rather than catastrophic anticipation. The emergency booster technique handles last-minute panic attacks. Find an empty conference room or even a bathroom stall. Set up chairs or imagine them if necessary. Deliver your opening to these empty seats as if they're filled with your actual audience. This bridges the gap between solo practice and live performance. Your brain doesn't distinguish between real and vividly imagined experiences when it comes to threat assessment. By speaking to empty chairs with full commitment, you're teaching your nervous system that this specific behavior in this type of environment is safe and manageable. The genius of microdrills lies in their efficiency. You're not trying to become a perfect speaker in 10 minutes. You're specifically targeting the moment of greatest vulnerability, those first 30 seconds when stage fright typically peaks. By over-preparing this crucial window, you create momentum that carries through the entire presentation. Most speakers practice their entire presentation once or twice and call it preparation. You're going to practice your opening sequence 6 times in 3 different intensities, creating neural pathways that make those first words feel automatic rather than terrifying. This is exposure therapy compressed into emergency timeframes. Each microdrill reduces the unfamiliarity factor while building confidence through repetition. By the time you step on stage, your opening will feel like something you've done dozens of times rather than something you're attempting for the first time under pressure. 5 minutes remain. Your opening is now neurologically familiar. Your threat response is desensitized. Your confidence is built on evidence rather than hope. But there's one final element that will transform your entire physical presence from nervous energy into commanding authority. The secret lies in understanding how your body language broadcasts power before you speak a single word. Chapter 6, Power Stance. 3 minutes until you own that stage. Your microdrills have rewired your threat response, but as you stand in the wings, you notice something subtle yet devastating. Your body is betraying your mental preparation. Shoulders rolled inward, arms crossed defensively, weight shifted to one foot, head slightly down. Every muscle fiber screams, "I don't belong here," in a language older than words. Your audience will read this body language before you speak a single syllable. They'll make unconscious judgments about your authority, competence, and right to command their attention based on how you carry yourself in those first crucial seconds. But here's what most speakers never discover. Your posture doesn't just communicate power to others. It literally manufactures power within your own biochemistry. The connection between how you stand and how you feel runs deeper than confidence tricks or fake-it-till-you-make-it psychology. Your physical positioning triggers measurable hormonal cascades that alter your brain chemistry in real time. When you adopt an expansive, open posture, feet planted wide, chest open, arms uncrossed, chin parallel to the floor, your endocrine system responds as if you've just established territorial dominance. Testosterone production spikes by roughly 20%, while cortisol drops by 25%. This isn't metaphorical empowerment, it's literal biochemical transformation. Carney, Cuddy, and Yap proved this with elegant simplicity. They had participants adopt either high-power or low-power poses for just 2 minutes, then offered them a gambling opportunity. The high-power posers chose risky bets 86% of the time, compared to 60% for the low-power group. Saliva tests confirmed the hormonal shifts that drove this behavioral change. The implications are staggering. 2 minutes of strategic positioning can literally alter your brain chemistry to make you more willing to take the risks that separate leaders from followers. Your body is constantly sending signals to your brain about your status and capabilities. Slouch with arms crossed, and you're broadcasting, "I'm defensive and uncertain." Your brain receives this message and adjusts your confidence accordingly. Stand tall with open positioning, and you're signaling, "I'm in control and ready to engage." Your brain responds by flooding your system with the neurochemicals of dominance. The 2-minute alpha routine becomes your biochemical reset button. Find a private space, bathroom, empty hallway, even a supply closet. Plant your feet wider than shoulder width apart. Open your palms and let your arms hang naturally at your sides. Level your chin parallel to the floor, not tilted up in arrogance or down in submission. Hold this position for exactly 2 minutes while breathing deeply and steadily. Feel your ribcage expand. Notice how the open posture forces your shoulders back and your spine straight. This isn't just about looking confident. You're literally triggering the hormonal cascade that creates authentic confidence from the inside out. The biochemistry of posture operates on feedback loops your conscious mind can't access. Your brain constantly monitors your physical positioning for status cues. Expansive postures signal high status, which triggers testosterone release and cortisol suppression. Contracted postures signal low status, which does the opposite. Most speakers unknowingly sabotage themselves by adopting defensive positioning right before they perform. They cross their arms while waiting backstage. They hunch their shoulders while reviewing notes. They shift their weight nervously from foot to foot. Each of these micropositions sends low-status signals to their brain, creating a biochemical state that undermines their performance before they begin. Signal amplifiers extend this principle into your actual presentation. Eye lock sweeps, deliberately making eye contact with different sections of your audience, broadcast confidence while gathering real-time feedback about your impact. But the key is the quality of the eye contact. Brief, nervous glances signal uncertainty. Sustained, comfortable eye contact signals authority. The deliberate podium grip transforms a potential crutch into a power anchor. Instead of gripping the edges nervously, place your palms flat on the surface with fingers spread wide. This creates the visual impression of someone claiming territory rather than seeking support. But here's the critical distinction between ethical presence and the swagger trap. Authentic power positioning feels natural and grounded. Artificial swagger feels forced and compensatory. The goal isn't to intimidate or dominate others, it's to access your own authentic confidence through biochemical optimization. Your posture should communicate, "I belong here and I have something valuable to share," rather than, "I'm trying to prove I'm better than you." The difference is subtle but crucial. One builds trust and engagement. The other creates resistance and skepticism. 90 seconds remain. Your hormones are shifting. Your brain chemistry is optimizing. Your body language is broadcasting authority before you speak a word. But there's one final element that will lock all of these gains into an unshakable foundation, a precise sequence that transforms scattered preparation into automatic confidence. The key lies in understanding how elite performers create consistency under pressure through a ritual so powerful it bypasses conscious thought entirely. Chapter 7, Priming Ritual. 60 seconds to showtime. Your surge is calibrated, spotlight myth shattered, transparency illusion destroyed, fear flipped to fuel, micro drills completed, power stance activated. You've built an arsenal of psychological weapons, but there's a problem lurking beneath your preparation. All these tools are scattered across your consciousness like loose ammunition. Under pressure, your mind might forget which technique to deploy when. Cognitive overload could make you freeze, cycling through options instead of executing with precision. Elite performers know something amateurs never discover: the difference between having tools and having a system that deploys those tools automatically. This is where the priming ritual transforms everything, a precise sequence so deeply ingrained that it bypasses conscious thought and triggers peak state on command. Watch any world-class athlete before they perform. The tennis player bounces the ball exactly 3 times before serving. The basketball player spins the ball twice, dribbles once, and shoots. The golfer takes 2 practice swings, adjusts their glove, and addresses the ball. These aren't nervous habits. They're carefully designed activation sequences that eliminate cognitive drift and lock in optimal performance state. Cotterill's meta-analysis of performance routines revealed a 13% accuracy improvement across closed-skill tasks when athletes followed consistent pre-performance protocols. The magic wasn't in the specific actions, but in the neurological pathway created by repetitive sequencing. Your brain craves predictability under pressure. When stakes are high and stress hormones are surging, decision fatigue becomes your enemy. Every choice you have to make, which technique to use, how to stand, what to think about, drains precious cognitive resources that should be focused on your message. The priming ritual eliminates these micro-decisions by creating an automatic sequence that triggers your optimal state without conscious intervention. The 4-step blueprint becomes your neurological pathway to peak performance. First, the Q word, a single syllable that anchors your entire system. Choose something that resonates with controlled power: focus, flow, command, surge. This word becomes your mental reset button, instantly connecting you to your prepared state. The breath reset follows immediately. 1 deep inhale through your nose for 4 counts, hold for 2, exhale through your mouth for 6. This isn't random, it's a physiological trigger that activates your parasympathetic nervous system while maintaining alertness. Your body recognizes this breathing pattern as the signal to shift into performance mode. Next comes the mental snapshot, a vivid 3-second visualization of yourself delivering your opening line with complete authority. See yourself standing tall, voice strong, audience engaged. This isn't wishful thinking, it's neural priming. Your brain begins firing the same patterns it will use during actual performance, creating familiarity before the moment arrives. The trigger gesture completes the sequence. A subtle physical action that seals your preparation, adjusting your collar, touching your watch, pressing your palms together briefly. This gesture becomes your final confirmation that you're ready, a physical punctuation mark that transitions you from preparation to execution. The entire sequence takes 15 seconds. Cue word, breath reset, mental snapshot, trigger gesture. Simple enough to remember under pressure, specific enough to create consistent neurological activation. Consistency beats complexity every time. You might be tempted to create elaborate rituals with multiple components, but cognitive science proves the opposite. Simple, repeatable sequences create stronger neural pathways than complex ones. Your brain can automate a 4-step process, but struggles to reliably execute a 12-step routine under stress. This is why one powerful ritual outperforms 5 scattered techniques. Instead of juggling multiple tools and hoping you remember them all, you have a single sequence that activates everything simultaneously. Adaptation guidelines ensure your ritual works across different venues and contexts. In a small conference room, your trigger gesture might be subtle, a brief touch of your pen. In a large auditorium, it could be more expansive, a deliberate adjustment of your jacket. The core sequence remains identical, but the physical expression scales to match the environment. The routine audit becomes your quality control system. After each presentation, evaluate which elements of your ritual felt automatic versus which required conscious effort. Refine the sequence based on what your nervous system adopts most naturally. Your ritual should feel like putting on a familiar piece of clothing, effortless and perfectly fitted. Most speakers wing it every time, hoping their scattered preparation will somehow coalesce under pressure. They have techniques, but no system to deploy them. They have knowledge, but no reliable way to access it when it matters most. You're building something different, a neurological pathway that transforms preparation into automatic execution. Your ritual becomes the bridge between practice and performance, between knowing what to do and actually doing it when stakes are highest. 30 seconds remain. Your ritual is ready to deploy. But there's one final physiological element that will stabilize everything you've built, a breathing technique so powerful it can stop voice tremors and clear mental fog in seconds. The secret lies in understanding how your respiratory system controls far more than just oxygen flow. Chapter 8, Coherent Breath. 20 seconds to stage time. Your priming ritual is locked and loaded, but as you take that final step toward the microphone, you notice something that could unravel everything you've built. Your breathing is erratic, shallow, completely out of sync with your prepared state. Your voice depends on breath control more than any other factor. Irregular breathing creates voice tremors that broadcast nervousness to every person in the room. Shallow breathing starves your brain of oxygen, creating the mental fog that makes you forget your carefully rehearsed opening lines. Most speakers try to take a deep breath and hope for the best. This is like trying to tune a precision instrument with a sledgehammer. You're about to discover why breathing isn't just about oxygen. It's about creating a specific frequency that synchronizes your entire nervous system for peak performance. The secret lies in understanding that your breath controls far more than gas exchange. Every inhale and exhale sends signals through your vagus nerve to your heart, brain, and autonomic nervous system. When these signals are chaotic, your entire system operates in dysfunction. When they're coherent, you achieve a state of physiological harmony that makes peak performance inevitable. This isn't ancient breathing wisdom or meditation mysticism. This is cutting-edge neurocardiology that reveals how specific breathing patterns create measurable changes in heart rate variability, brain oxygenation, and nervous system coherence. The breathing coherence technique operates on a precise frequency, approximately 0.1 Hz, which translates to 6 breaths per minute. This specific rhythm creates resonance between your breathing, heart rate, and blood pressure oscillations, synchronizing your entire cardiovascular system into optimal coherence. Lehrer and his research team discovered that this 0.1 Hz breathing pattern maximizes heart rate variability amplitude while reducing anxiety by 40%. But the real breakthrough was understanding why this frequency works. It matches the natural resonant frequency of your baroreflex system, the mechanism that regulates blood pressure and heart rate. When you breathe at this coherent frequency, you're literally tuning your nervous system like a musical instrument finding its perfect pitch. Bernardi's research revealed another crucial benefit. 6 breaths per minute increases cerebral oxygenation by 22%. Your brain receives more fuel precisely when you need maximum cognitive performance. Mental fog disappears, memory sharpens, and verbal fluency improves dramatically. The 5-minute coherence drill becomes your physiological reset protocol. Find your quiet space and begin the silent count method. Inhale slowly for 5 counts, feeling your diaphragm expand and your ribcage widen. Pause briefly at the top of the inhale, then exhale smoothly for 5 counts, letting your body naturally deflate without forcing the air out. The key is consistency, not force. You're not trying to take the deepest breaths possible. You're creating a steady, rhythmic pattern that your nervous system can lock onto and amplify. Each breath cycle should feel effortless, like a gentle wave that naturally rises and falls. As you continue this pattern, something remarkable happens. Your heart rate begins to oscillate in perfect sync with your breathing rhythm. Your blood pressure variations align with your respiratory cycle. Your entire cardiovascular system enters a state of coherence that creates the physiological foundation for unshakable confidence. Most people breathe 12 to 20 times per minute in a chaotic, irregular pattern that keeps their nervous system in constant low-level stress. By slowing to 6 coherent breaths per minute, you're shifting from sympathetic dominance to parasympathetic balance while maintaining alertness. The on-stage rescue breath becomes your emergency stabilization tool. Even with perfect preparation, mid-presentation stress can disrupt your breathing pattern. The hidden pause between slides gives you the opportunity to reset without the audience noticing. As you transition from one slide to the next, take that natural pause and extend it slightly. One coherent breath cycle, 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, while maintaining eye contact with your audience. They'll interpret this as confident pacing rather than nervous recovery. This rescue breath serves dual purposes. It reestablishes your coherent breathing pattern while giving your brain a fresh surge of oxygenated blood. You emerge from that pause with renewed clarity and vocal stability. The physiology of resonance explains why this technique works when simple deep breathing fails. Random deep breaths can actually increase anxiety by creating irregular patterns that confuse your nervous system. Coherent breathing creates predictable, rhythmic input that your body recognizes as a signal for optimal function. Your voice quality depends entirely on breath support and nervous system stability. Coherent breathing provides both simultaneously. The steady airflow eliminates tremors, while the nervous system coherence removes the anxiety that causes vocal tension. 10 seconds remain. Your breathing is synchronized, your nervous system coherent, your voice ready to project authority and conviction. But there's one final element that will give you an unshakable anchor in any moment of doubt. A secret weapon that elite performers carry with them everywhere, ready to trigger instant confidence when everything else fails. Chapter 9, Anchor Cue. 5 seconds. This is it. Everything you've built in the last 59 minutes and 55 seconds comes down to this moment. Your surge is calibrated, myths shattered, fear transformed, drills completed, posture commanding, ritual primed, breath coherent. But what happens when you're 6 months from now, standing before a different audience, facing different stakes, and your mind goes completely blank? What happens when panic strikes despite all your preparation? What happens when you need instant access to this state of unshakable confidence but don't have an hour to rebuild it? This is where the anchor cue becomes your secret weapon, a stealth trigger so powerful it can flip your brain from panic to poise in under 3 seconds, anywhere, anytime, for the rest of your speaking career. Most speakers rely on hope and positive thinking when crisis hits. You're about to install something far more reliable, a neurological shortcut that bypasses conscious thought and directly accesses your peak performance state. The science behind safety signal conditioning reveals how your brain creates instant emotional responses to specific triggers. Yale researchers discovered that neutral stimuli paired with calm states activate alternative neural circuits that suppress fear responses before they can take hold. This isn't willpower, it's neurological programming. Kraska's inhibitory learning research proved that properly conditioned safety cues reduce stress responses by 50% during high-pressure situations. Your anchor becomes a direct line to composure that works even when everything else fails. The key is choosing an anchor that's always accessible, yet completely under your control. Tactile anchors work best because touch bypasses cognitive processing and connects directly to your limbic system. A simple ring tap, watch adjustment, or pen click becomes your instant confidence trigger. Verbal anchors serve as backup systems. A code phrase like steady power or locked in can work when physical anchors aren't practical. The phrase should be short, personally meaningful, and easy to recall under pressure. The conditioning process requires precision and consistency. For 5 consecutive days, practice your anchor 3 times daily during moments of genuine calm. Sit quietly, achieve a state of deep relaxation through coherent breathing, then activate your anchor while maintaining that calm state for 30 seconds. Your brain begins forming neural pathways that connect the anchor stimulus with the calm response. Each repetition strengthens this connection until the anchor alone can trigger the desired state without conscious effort. The deployment protocol is elegantly simple. Trigger your anchor just before stepping into high-pressure situations. The moment before you stand to speak, tap your ring or repeat your phrase. Your nervous system recognizes the signal and automatically shifts into the conditioned state of composure. This isn't placebo effect or psychological trickery. You're literally activating neural circuits that have been trained to produce specific physiological responses. Your heart rate stabilizes, muscle tension releases, and mental clarity sharpens, all triggered by a simple, inconspicuous action. Maintenance keeps your anchor sharp through weekly repairing sessions. Even the strongest neural pathways weaken without reinforcement. One 5-minute session per week where you practice your anchor during calm states ensures it remains reliable when you need it most. Your anchor becomes your insurance policy against the unexpected. Technical difficulties, hostile questions, memory lapses, equipment failures, none of these can shake you when you have instant access to your optimal state. But here's the ultimate revelation that transforms everything you've learned. These 9 strategies aren't just speaking techniques. They're life mastery tools disguised as presentation skills. The surge control that optimizes your speaking performance? It works equally well in job interviews, difficult conversations, and high-stakes negotiations. The spotlight myth that frees you from imaginary scrutiny? It eliminates social anxiety in every context. The transparency illusion that shows you how little others see your internal state? It builds authentic confidence in all relationships. Fear flipping transforms anxiety into excitement for any challenge. Microdrills can desensitize you to any feared situation through rapid exposure. Power stances hack your biochemistry before important meetings. Priming rituals create consistency in any performance domain. Coherent breathing stabilizes your nervous system under any pressure. Anchor cues provide instant access to peak states in any moment of crisis. You came here to conquer speaking anxiety in 60 minutes. You're leaving with a complete nervous system mastery toolkit that will serve you for decades. The timer hits 0. You step onto the stage with ruthless composure and magnetic presence. Your voice projects authority. Your message lands with impact. Your audience leans forward, captivated by the confident leader commanding their attention. This isn't the end of your transformation. It's the beginning. Every time you speak, you'll refine these tools. Every presentation becomes practice for the next level of mastery. Every moment of pressure becomes an opportunity to demonstrate your unshakable foundation. You are no longer at the mercy of your nervous system. You are its master. The stage is yours. The audience is waiting. Your moment has arrived. Now go become fearless.